Alright, you guys, I'm doing an interview with Mason Broadway, and this player has nearly 3 invites to Nats this year, this format alone, and a top 32 at YCS Dallas, and that was this format too, and he's going to be at Nats. So we're going to interview him. This is going to be a pretty rough, tough interview. I've thought these questions out, but I think he can handle them. So, to get started, when you compare this format to previous ones, it's kind of debated because some people say this format's really broken, and then other people say it's actually really balanced, one of the more balanced ones we've had recently. So what are your thoughts on the balance between all the decks in the format? Would you say only 1 or 2 decks are good and capable of success, or that any deck has potential to win?
Well, in this format, let's take it back to last format. I think last format almost a lot of decks had a lot of potential to be good and win, but this format it's a power circle. If you come down here, it's this beats this beats this, and this comes around and beats this in a circle. So,
would you say that it's good that there's a sort of a power triangle going on right
if you play one of these decks, you always have to worry about another deck. Always. In last format, there was 2 decks and they were basically equally matched. It was always a good game. If you play standard Dino Rabbit, you're most likely going to lose to Chaos Dragons. But now people are checking out, so that's why I still believe Dino Rabbit is better than these 2. I think the circle goes this is the best, and these are close seconds. But because this maining macro and stuff like that just kills both those.
And then what about some of the decks that aren't necessarily in this power circle, but people still consider them viable? Dark World's heroes.
The reason Dark Worlds aren't that. They're really good, but they're not really that good because Dark World can only really beat that. If a deck can only beat 1 deck out of the power circle,
you're just not.
You're not, because you'll do good with this one matchup. This can blow up all your stuff, and this can set up faster than you can. It doesn't matter if you see their hand or not, because anything you discard to the graveyard is going to help them because their whole deck revolves around graveyard setup.
And then what about heroes? Heroes kind of they've had their rises and falls, bubble beat and stun.
Heroes they have the best one for one destruction besides Hornet and Inzektors. The reason their 1-for-1s are better than Inzektors is because Hero Blast and Gemini Spark can't be veilered like an Inzektor can. But their deck is just really too slow for this format right now. Their deck can't set up as fast as the other decks can. Skill Drain still doesn't stop Rabbit. Skill Drain can be chained MST by Inzektor deck, and if you Skill Drain if you don't open Skill Drain, it's just bad late game, because if you're playing Chaos Dragons and you get late game, it doesn't matter. Just punch with 28s and stuff like that.
And then what would you say about Six Samurai? They've popped up, but they just seem like they're not
Samurai
around.
Is interesting thing because Samurai beat Dino Rabbit. If played by a very skilled player, Samurai beat the shit out of Dino Rabbit. Simple because Sheen is 25, and if you play against Chaos Dragons, throwing a Tree Beast on the board, it's hard for them to get over that too. But also they run Raikou, so they can just destroy everything. But Samurai cannot take Inzektors. But the reason Samurai is a weird deck right now because they have a good chance against these 2, but they have no chance against this deck. But the good thing about that right now, Inzektors is a less played deck because no good players are rising up and taking advantage of Inzektors because Dino Rabbit is so dominant over it that Samurai could actually do something in Nationals, like it's been doing at other Nationals.
Alright, so I guess would you say then that it is balanced because there's a power circle, or would you say it's not balanced because only maybe 3 decks are viable?
It's balanced within the power circle. Everything else just can't win against it. It's just within these 3 decks, it's balanced. But outside the realm of these 3 decks, it's so hard to win.
there. All right, so the second question is, our nationals are approaching pretty quick on just what, 3 weeks?
2 weeks from 2 weeks from 2 days from now.
And basically, like, the favorite to win is kind of unclear. Like, people are saying Dino Rabbit, people are saying Chaos Dragons, a few people are going for Inzektors, and like, there's some other decks here and there that get a bit of attention. Like, what do you think has the most potential to win? And then after that, what do you think will be in the top 64 versus the top 8? But let's start with the first one. What do you think?
I think the one that has most potential to win, it's not just because I'm playing it. I've played all the decks and tested them, but I think this has the potential to win. Just and I know you're gonna be saying, "Oh, it's Rabbit," all that, but just let me explain about this. The reason I believe Rabbit can win, it has like its engine can chain 6 cards in their deck just to counteract other decks in the meta. That's something that Inzektors can't do because they don't have enough room, and that's something that Chaos Dragons can't do because their mill engine takes up so much of their deck they can't tech anything. Like Dino Rabbit is like the only deck that can actually like tech things. You don't have to run Gueva. You don't have to run Fiendish Chain. You don't have to run a lot of. You don't in this deck you don't have to run Valor because Macrocosmos is there to take up the slack.
So like, what would you say? I guess are maybe the chances of any other decks winning? Do you think any other decks are maybe capable of making a showing at Nats?
Well, the deck that's gonna be closest to Dino Rabbit to winning is gonna be Chaos Dragons, simply because Chaos Dragons are so big, and they like if this gets off faster than this, they're definitely gonna win. Especially if this is a convention, like they're running this conventional build. But this has a lot of outs, but this has a loop that just keeps coming back and punching in the face. But it's kind of equaled out unless they're running techs like D-Prisons, Bottomlesses, and Macros and stuff like that. These, like, you don't have to run Macro. Like, if this deck is main decking 2 of each of these cards, it's going to really give, like, Chaos Dragons a problem.
And so, what deck do you think will probably make, like, the strongest showing, like, with considering, like, prices and what decks have topped previous events? Because Chaos Dragons have done so well lately, and they're a bit less expensive to make than Rabbit. Do you think that just the amount of Chaos Dragon players will basically kind of dominate the Rabbit population, so to speak?
You would think that, but this being Nationals, like everybody going to Nationals is just not going to Nationals to go to Nationals. They're actually going to try to win Nationals. So if you're going to Nationals, I don't think price is an object when you go there. So like anybody you play is gonna be playing the deck that they think is going to win. So like in this situation, price isn't an option. So I think Dino Rabbit Dino Rabbit and Chaos Dragons are gonna have like an even showing, but if you look at the recent YCSs lately, this has more of a percentage of top 8 than this does. Like in Philadelphia, this won, but in the top 8, this took up 25% of the meta. The other 25% was in Dark Wolves and Inzektors, and then the 50% was in Rabbit. So
basically, just sort of by ratio, this would Dino Rabbit.
By ratio, you would think Dino Rabbit would be more, because it has good against the rogue. It kills Inzektors. Like in the hands of a good player, this cannot lose to Inzektors. And this can lose the Dino Rabbit if they're teched out right. Because since this deck has so good of a matchup against Inzektors, like these don't matter. Like I know they're not good against Inzektors, but they set it up to where they can be. You probably beat them fast enough without these to even draw them, so it doesn't really matter.
So what would you say would be like the probable ratio of decks in like top 64? I mean, of course we're gonna get the rogue and the stuff we don't expect, but like in top 64, what do you think will be like? Top
64, it's gonna be like 5% rogue. It's gonna be. I'm gonna call top 64. It's kind of hard to tell. If I get the top 8, I could do it better. But top 64, there's gonna be a lot of these. There's gonna be a lot of Dino Rabbit, Chaos Dragon, and Inzektor.
Now in top 8, what are you expecting to see?
About the same percentages we've been seeing, like 25, 50, 25, 50, and like 10. Unless something weird happens and they take this out to beat Dino Rabbit. I don't see how they could do that. Because level limit area B and Messenger Peace is really pushing this deck really hard, so it helps against these two. if somebody's running this deck teched out enough, because the Inzektors, I believe, have the best matchup against the Rogue ever. Because every monster in their deck is a Dark Arm Dragon. They just blow up the resources. Since they tech out like so hard against these two decks, they could come and like storm top 64, but you just never know because this deck is so techy right. Like Dino Rabbit is so techy right now. You just have to look out for it.
All right, so that's supposed to be interesting. So the next question is, what are your thoughts on the new fast effect timing mechanics? Like, I mean, it's a loss of priority, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, how did you expect it to change the game at first? And then, like, how have you adapted to it? And then, has it changed the game the way you expected? Is it just not changed much at all? Is it different?
It changed the game, but not in the way that everybody would think it was. Everybody was going to think it was going to make cards that activated on priority really bad. But if you go and look at the cards now, Light Sworns, they're like a tier 2 deck, but they're still being played, even though Judgment can't activate on summon. Look at Rabbit. Rabbit's still working.
What were you like? What plans did you have to adapt to the loss of priority? And then you played Dino Rabbit.
As soon as the ruling came out, I was like main macro. I wasn't even thinking about Inzektors at all. I was thinking about straight for the effect Veiler. Like I wasn't even thinking about Inzektors or Chaos Dragons. Because Chaos Dragons, when it happened, Chaos Dragons didn't exist on a wide scale. I was thinking about effect Veiler most of all. But turns out Veiler isn't the problem because if you summon this and they Veiler, you can either leave it there and protect it or remove it and bring it back with Tour Guide. So this wastes the Veiler on deck 1. So
you'd said priority didn't really change the game how people maybe thought it would.
It brought Rabbit from tier 0.5 to 1. It brought it down a peg, but it didn't really hurt it that much.
Still far from being bad. All right, so my next question is, like most formats, this one's kind of seen the rise and fall of like tech cards over the last few months.
Yeah.
Like Max C's kind of fallen out of popularity. Forbidden Chalice, Soul Taker kind of picked up, and then Fiendish Chain Bottomless just kind of fluctuate left and right. Like, what tech and side deck cards do you think like made the most impact this format?
Soul Taker is really doing it right now because it makes Chaos Dragons a little worse because you have to stop the Light Pulsar. You have to, or you have to waste so many cards getting it off the board. And then Soul Taker's that one card answer to it.
And then what would you say about Forbidden Chalice? Because that's another card that's been like really kind of showing off a lot.
Chalice is a really good card because if you need to get over something, you use that 400 to get over it. And if you really need to negate an effect, you can negate it. Especially like if you're playing against Dino Rabbit and you have Chalice, you can't Veiler, but you can Chalice negate them.
And then like, why do you think cards like Max C just sort of fell?
Well, alright, we have Veiler and Mag C, and when wind-ups like this, nobody ran this, maybe at 1 to stop a Tour Guide play every now and then, but people maxed out on Mag C because the threat of wind-up was so large, because you were so scared that because if they wind up loot you lost. Because they can get around this. If you Veiler one of the things, those get around it. In that same turn, they'll loop you anyways. This one, if they don't stop, they're gonna have so much advantage on you. You're gonna have so much advantage on them next turn. You'll probably win the game that second turn.
So you think that that fell mainly because wind-ups fell?
Yeah, wind-ups and like every deck that special summon melee. Like right now, the only reason I would see this is like Dino Rabbit. But Dino Rabbit, you only pot of greed off of it. And when you pot of greed off of it, you're gonna waste your pluses from the pot of greed Max C off of the Lagia. So like it's okay. I'm actually probably gonna side it to Nationals because there's gonna be stupid stuff there. But.
Now what about cards like Bottomless Trap Hole and Fiendish Chain? Like they appear and they disappear and then just.
Fiendish Chain has fallen out of popularity for macro because the only thing Fiendish Chain is good against is Inzektors and to an extent Dino Rabbit. If you do it to Dino Rabbit, all they're gonna do is negate it with Lagia or negate it with something else or something like that. Bottomless trap holes come back into play a lot because the priority is gone, and you can just bottomless anything. Like especially right now with Chaos Dragons, you bottomless a Light Pulsar, it's gone. It's not getting an effect. You bottomless RDMD, it's gone, not getting an effect.
So you think macro is definitely one of those bigger boom cards? Like it seems like it's affecting the format format a lot. I mean, do you think it's a good card to just be like main decking in Dino Rabbit or anything else?
Like I love it in Dino Rabbit, but then again I don't, because it just gets in the way. I really love Valor that much to not run macro. I would definitely side 3. No, don't get me wrong. I would definitely side 3 macro, no joke. But like I've been maining it. It's been doing good, but I just feel more comfortable with it sided and Valor out. Because macro against the rogue sometimes it's just not good at all.
All right, and now for our final question. Konami's, they're kind of unpredictable with these ban lists. I think everybody knows that. But like a lot of veteran players, they like to guess what the ban list is. So, which cards do you think are going to be targeted by this list, and why? What do you think we could expect to see returned? Now, before we go on any further, let's take a look at this lovely binder that Broadway has planned out.
Let me put the brokenness back. Hold on. Never coming back. Never coming back. Never coming back. No. In a distant future, if they want to push their magical archetype next format, they either bring Demot back or this, but they're not going to bring Demot back because the spell they made is dumb as hell, so they're not going to do that. If they bring this back, they're going to have to ban some spell cards or bring Imperial Order back, please, but it's not going to happen. No. Exodia FTK, no. This. I've been wanting to talk about this a lot lately. This can come back to 1. For the simple fact is, you can Valor this and it can do nothing. There's not a cost to send him to the graveyard. You just Valor that, it's just going to sit there. It's not going to do anything. Because sending to the graveyard is not a cost. They can't bring this back because it makes Phoenix Wing, Wind Blast, Raigeki Break, all those cards free. This, I don't know why they banned it. Just come back. This could come back to 1. No. Why is that not at 3? I don't understand. No, because it doesn't do anything over here. Because you can scoop in America, you can't scoop in Japan. So in Japan, they kill you with this, you lose. In America, they put this on the board, you just scoop, and you can go to game 2. Please, no. Please, no. Cards have returned, no. Maybe later. No. None of the hand cards. That's just not fair. But no. Dimension Fusion, they have returned from different dimension for a reason. That maybe, but that card's horrible because it can't be stopped.
I love that card.
That makes Dark Worlds Tier 0. If Singing gets banned, I can see this coming back. Never. That makes Dark Worlds Tier 0. That makes Lightsworns too good. That makes everything too good. Those can come back in a distant future. No, that's unfair. No, that's unfair. Never. I wish my life away for this, but it's never gonna happen. This, no, that it'd be funny. If they bring Royal Oppression back, it should either go from 0 to 2 or just stay banned. Because if you bring it back at 1, it's gonna be a tech and everything. If we bring it back to 2, there's gonna be decks built around it, and you can't tech it at 1 because it's not gonna be good. This can never come back, and that's all I have in here.
All right, so for taming this format right now, what ban list predictions / suggestions would you say? Like to tame these top 3 decks. Maybe just start with how do you think they might hit Dino Rabbit?
Laggy to 1.
Do you think that would be the only solution they could take?
Because that's their power play. That's the one that keeps their Chaos Dragon matchup tame. Besides Dolka. Dolka is really good, but they need Laggy for protection. Laggy is their protection. Take Laggy away, the protection's gone. Because I don't think they're gonna hit Rabbit because they're pushing a lot of normal monster support right now.
So what about Inzektors, or how do you think they might?
If we had separate ban lists, if TCG and OCG were different, I wouldn't change a thing about Inzektors because they're not doing anything here. But what I feel is gonna happen is Dragonfly is gonna go to 1 for the simple fact that they're basically tier 0 in Japan. They're gonna go the path of Agents. Agents never did anything over here, but they won Worlds. They're gonna get hit hard. Inzektors never did not gonna do anything over here, but they're gonna get hit hard. They're gonna win Worlds though.
So some people are saying that they want just Hornet to 1 or banned or something.
Hornet to 1 won't do anything to it. They'll just, they'll bring it back with Levier. They'll pump up their.
So you think Dragonfly to 1 would be a better way to?
Dragonfly to 1 would kill the deck.
And then what about Chaos Dragons? There's a lot of strong opinions on
Future
how
Fusion
this.
will be banned. It will be. If it's not, there's something wrong with Konami. That card would be banned. And if anything else, RDMD would go to 1.
That's what I've heard from most people. And do you think any of these, I guess, somewhat lower decks, heroes could take a hit?
Like heroes,
Dark World, maybe. I mean, you know.
I don't know. Like if they're gonna do anything to heroes, they might put Miracle to 2, but they're not gonna do it. They're not gonna do anything to heroes or Dark World. It might, like, September is what they usually hit decks hard and bring some things back. They might help out some lower decks. I don't think they're gonna help White Swarms again because they give them anything. Like if they give them 3rd Lumina or a 2nd Charge or anything like that, it's gonna push them over the edge. It's gonna make them too good.
All right, so I guess that concludes my interview. This was 20 minutes long, so that's what I was wanting. Thanks for the interview. Just a quick question: what are you playing at Nats? You're playing Dino Rabbit, right?
Hardest question anyone's been asking me all week. I don't know. Because Dino Rabbit's good and all, but I just, like, if I was going to top 64, I would rather top 64 than Inzektors than Dino Rabbit. But I just feel like Dino Rabbit has a better chance. I'm gonna go with the deck that I feel has the best chance of winning.
All right, well, thanks for the interview. Good luck at Nats, and remember, you guys, spam him and tell him he needs to make videos on YouTube. All right, well, thanks for watching, you guys. I'm going to interview more people today and all that stuff, so yeah.